On June 27th, Air France Flight 139 departed from Tel Aviv, heading toward Paris with a scheduled stop in Athens, filled with ordinary people, families excited for vacations, elderly passengers returning home, young travelers chasing dreams, completely unaware that just hours later, their lives would be hanging by a thread. And after the Athens stop, 4 hijackers boarded the plane, blending in like any other passenger. But hidden beneath their calm appearance was a mission fueled by ideology and violence. And mid-flight, everything changed in an instant. As they rose from their seats, armed with weapons, stormed the cockpit, and seized control of the aircraft, forcing terrified passengers into silence as the plane was diverted first toward Libya and then deeper into uncertainty, finally landing in Entebbe, Uganda, a place far removed from international help, under the rule of Idi Amin, whose unpredictable leadership added a chilling layer to an already dangerous situation. And instead of resisting, Amin welcomed the hijackers, turning the airport into a prison where fear echoed through the old terminal halls as Ugandan soldiers joined the terrorists in guarding the hostages. And soon the tension reached a breaking point as the hijackers began separating passengers, releasing many non-Israeli hostages while keeping Israeli and Jewish passengers behind, a moment that carried deep historical pain and psychological terror, as families were torn apart and uncertainty grew heavier with each passing hour, and the demands were clear. Release imprisoned militants, or the remaining hostages would be executed, setting a ticking clock that the entire world could hear. And as governments debated and diplomats struggled to find a solution, back in Israel, a different kind of conversation was taking place. One filled not with fear, but with determination, as leaders weighed the cost of action against the cost of inaction, knowing that either choice carried consequences that could echo for generations. And while negotiations were publicly considered, behind closed doors, a bold and nearly impossible plan began to take shape. A plan that required precision, courage, and a willingness to step into the unknown. A plan to fly over 4,000 kilometers into hostile territory and bring the hostages home by force. And at the center of this mission stood Yonatan Netanyahu, a commander respected not only for his tactical brilliance, but for his calm resolve in the face of danger. A man who understood that success would demand everything from his team, and possibly his own life. Yet he accepted the mission without hesitation, because he believed that some risks are worth taking when lives are at stake. And as the plan came together, intelligence teams studied every detail of the Entebbe Airport, even using old construction blueprints to understand the layout, rehearsing the operation repeatedly until every second was accounted for, because in a mission like this, even a single mistake could mean disaster. And on July 3rd, under complete secrecy, the operation began as Israeli C-130 Hercules aircraft lifted into the night sky, flying low across deserts and oceans to avoid detection, carrying commandos who sat in silence, each lost in their own thoughts, aware that they were heading into one of the most dangerous missions of their lives. And as the aircraft approached Entebbe under the cover of darkness, the tension inside grew heavier. Hearts raced, but discipline held firm. And the moment the wheels touched the runway, everything shifted from planning to reality. And in a move that would later become legendary, a black Mercedes rolled out of the aircraft, designed to resemble Idi Amin's official vehicle, creating a brief illusion that allowed the commandos to approach the terminal with minimal suspicion. But the element of surprise would only last seconds. And when it broke, the night exploded into action as gunfire shattered the silence, and commandos stormed the terminal with speed and precision, moving through the building with calculated intensity, identifying targets, eliminating threats, and securing the hostages in what felt like both an instant and an eternity, as fear turned into chaos and then into hope. And within minutes, the hijackers were neutralized, and the hostages were being rushed toward the aircraft, guided by soldiers who had just risked everything to reach them. And despite the confusion and danger, the operation unfolded with remarkable coordination, proving the power of preparation and courage under pressure. And in less than 90 minutes, the impossible had been achieved. Over 100 hostages rescued from deep within hostile territory. But even in victory, there was loss, as Yonatan Netanyahu, the leader who had guided the mission with unwavering resolve, was fatally wounded during the operation, becoming the only Israeli soldier killed in the raid, a sacrifice that turned success into something deeper, something heavier, a reminder that even the greatest victories come with a price. And as the aircraft lifted off from Entebbe, carrying the rescued passengers back to safety, the world watched in disbelief, struggling to comprehend what had just happened. A mission that defied distance, logic, and expectation, rewriting what was considered possible in modern warfare. And when the hostages finally reunited with their families, tears replaced fear, and relief replaced uncertainty. But the story didn't end there, because Operation Entebbe became more than just a rescue mission. It became a symbol of what can happen when a nation refuses to accept helplessness, when action replaces hesitation, and when courage overcomes fear. And even decades later, its legacy continues to inspire military strategies, political decisions, and human belief in the power of determination. But beyond the strategy and heroism lies a deeper question, one that still lingers quietly beneath the surface of this incredible story, because not every country would have made the same choice. Not every leader would have taken such a risk, and not every mission would have succeeded. Which brings us to a thought that feels just as powerful today as it did in 1976. If you were in that room, making that decision, knowing the risks, the distance, the uncertainty, would you have chosen to act, or would you have waited, hoping for a different outcome? And if history has taught us anything, it's this. Sometimes the line between tragedy and triumph is drawn by a single decision, made in a single moment, when everything is on the line. Subscribe for more interesting videos like this. Very thanks for watching.